I've been asked to comment on Ali Hassannia's paper on religious intolerance and holy ignorance. I should say from the outset that I'm not an Islamic scholar. Although I do teach Islam, mostly to non-Muslims, and I do have a basic understanding of the religion. So I'm a little bit hesitant to voice any kind of theological opinion with regard to this paper, which, by the way, I found very interesting. The basic question of religious intolerance has, as Ali Hassannia has pointed out, has quite a lot to do with the question of knowledge and the ability of an individual to actually understand the basic tenets of Islam. Many people who are looking at Islam as a religion have the mistaken idea that Islam is a very rigid system of laws that people must obey and that has very little flexibility. Nothing could be more far from the truth. Islam indeed has certain aspects of it that are where individuals are required to do certain things that are wajib, and are prohibited from doing certain other things that are haram. But in between being wajib and haram, there is a vast landscape of activity for individuals. There are things that are recommended, mustahab, and things that are not recommended, they're makruh. But in the middle are things that are mubah, and those are things that over which God has no fixed opinion. The problem is for Muslims who are sincere in their belief, the problem is trying to understand what God wants, God's will in this regard. And in order to understand God's will, they must study. They must study seriously or consult with people who are Islamic theologians and Islamic scholars and who have been able to look at the scriptures and argue them and come to opinions about what is prescribed and what's not prescribed. One of the areas that is most important here has to do with tolerance of thought. It can be said that Allah has no particular political party, for instance. There is no Republican Allah and there's no Democratic Allah if we were talking about politics in the United States. Political opinions are wide-ranging, and the tolerance of difference of opinion is one of the hallmarks of Islamic theology as well as Islamic practice in the real world. An individual who has a different political opinion, as long as it is not in the area of being haram or makruh, is to be protected for their opinion. Otherwise, how would theology itself ever proceed without this kind of difference of opinion? There's another area that's important for Islam, and that is tolerance of other religions. And this is clearly set out in the Quran. People of the book, Christians, Jews, Zoroastrians, are people of the book, and tolerance of their views is required of all believing Muslims. And so that also falls within that vast range of things that we consider to be in the realm of tolerance and understanding of the religious traditions of other people is something that all Muslims are required to do. So one of the important things to remember is that Islam requires knowledge, and it requires an individual to seek knowledge, and seek knowledge of religious thought, and also, most generally, the will of God, the will of Allah, in order to be able to be a good Muslim. So the flexibility within the Islamic system, the flexibility of thought and the flexibility of belief includes a requirement that people be tolerant, because being tolerant is required of Muslims, and it is not in any way it does not in any way fall into the area of prohibited thought.